my God, I'm scared. There are actually people here. What's up, Anderson?
Hey, how's it going?
Oh man, good to see you.
It's so great to see you too.
How you been?
I've been good. Look,
I
I'm
see
just
you.
ripping every day, man. Every day. I still have it, and I actually really like this shirt. No, not
Wait,
just so much the message. I mean, the message I really like, but the quality of it too. I was gonna ask you the other day where you bought these shirts because I really like them.
I don't know, but you can ask Ariel. Send her an email because I like them too. We need to get some more of
Yeah, definitely,
them.
definitely.
uh,
Good.
yeah, I sleep in mine a lot. It's so soft.
Yeah, good. Good for like southern states weather.
You know, for sure. Warren, how you doing this morning?
Hey, I'm super blessed. Alvin, how are you? Been wanting to connect with you and finally getting to see your face in front of my computer.
Awesome, man. Well, we've been over for sure. Okay. We just been over here walking it out. Just
I know
walking it
you.
out, man.
Good.
Just walking it out. We set up this little this presentation or Zoom just to kind of talk about, what we're doing as multifamily. I think the topic today was how we have done some of these with creative financing. So I don't want to take up too much of anybody's time, but I'll just share some of the thought processes because most of what I'm talking about has more to do with the thought process than the actual money that people want out of these deals. Keep in mind, I mean, everybody wants the money for sure. But how do you get to the money and how do we give people what they say they want? And why is my, oh, I was about to say, man, there's Alvin, but why is my face on there? There's somebody else on my account. I'm tripping. But anyway, and how we've done this creatively and in recent times. I mean, like that we're doing right now, not something that's been done years and years ago. So I'm gonna wait just a couple of minutes and then we'll get started.
Alvin, in the meantime, let me
Yes,
ask
sir.
you, are you gonna be at the Rentalpreneur event tomorrow?
No, I'm not gonna make that one tomorrow. I had something else. I actually bought a couple of tickets that I've got 2 VIP tickets that I don't want to waste. I'll give to somebody.
Oh,
You already
okay.
got yours?
No, I didn't, and I was asking you because I was thinking I can fly to Houston and then because I'm gonna be close to Dallas, I can just drive down there or take another flight just to say hi, come to the office.
You're more than welcome to do that anytime.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Really?
And if yeah, I can just text you later.
Okay. We got a couple of deals that we're looking at over in Destin right now. So it'd be good to see you.
Perfect.
While we're waiting on, I'm gonna just wait till about 11:04 to get started. But we've got our multifamily development summit going on in September 16th and 17th, Anderson. Last couple of years we did the Clubhouse Live and it was really a great time and we talked about all kind of things real estate. This year we have decided to keep it multifamily focused only.
Perfect.
We're not doing business credit. We're not doing short-term rentals. It's all about the development or redevelopment of multifamily. We've got right now 384 units that are coming out of the ground, another 250 that'll start in November, and maybe another 200 that will start this year as well. I'm trying to hit 1,000 units to start this year.
Amen.
And then we're redeveloping 1,000 units. So we've put together some of the best practices that we've used. I'm looking at a lot of the things that we've done in the past on these same properties and the things that I'm having to redo. And why am I having to redo them? How did I structure that rehab process 3 years ago to where I'm having to redo it today? So what am I doing differently so I won't have to redo it again in 3 years? And those are the kind of things that we hey Ryan, okay, well good. Holler at me then, man. And those are the kind of things that we're gonna be doing at that summit. We also have I'm just reading some emails from some of my sponsors of that event. We've got our SIP manufacturer, they're gonna be there because they're really a big part of our support team. They're not there to sell SIPs, they're there to talk about the science of. And that's why they're coming. My general contractor sent me an email. They're going to come and they're sponsoring their national firm. And this is a national event. This is the first time it's been this kind of focus only. And it's the only one in the country thus far. So we're going to get we're getting a running start on doing this year. And next year, after our apartments come out of the ground, it's going to be just blown out of the water how big it's going to get.
When and where is this event going to be taking place at, Alvin?
This is here in Dallas, September 16th and 17th. I'll put the link in the chat.
Man, I will definitely be there.
This is going to be a good one. I'm the first one, like I said, was a meetup and a networking event, which we all need those. Multifamily Development Summit.com.
Alvin, I'm already signed up, I believe, for a boot camp next week. Is that still happening?
Yeah, that's going on.
Next Friday, Saturday? Or is it the
I
following
think it's the
week?
following week.
Following week, gotcha.
27th.
27th,
Oh,
okay.
Well, good, Warren. That's going to be good.
Yeah.
So what I'm talking about really today is just the stuff that we're going to cover there, some of the short stuff.
Yeah.
And then at this summit, we've got a really extensive developer program that we're putting together right now. And it includes our civil engineer, our attorney, our tax prep guy, our real estate brokers, a lady that helps me raise capital who's done over 800 million in her really short career, myself, Chris Senegal, another commercial developer who's doing almost $1 billion project in Houston right now. We've got my building science guy, Don Yankee, who helps us design all of our buildings for efficiency.
Mhm.
Him and our architect are going to be there talking about how and why they design this stuff the way they do. Our mechanical system supplier is going to be one of the sponsors of the event. So we're really just showing all of the best tools and practices that we found to all the ones that we found that have worked well for other developers that we believe going to work really well for us going into the future. And then the stuff that we're putting in those new developments. So that's pretty much what that summit's about. And not just what we're doing, but really how, if you're doing anything in real estate, if you're buying a house, if you're buying a duplex, if you're buying an apartment complex, if you're building or developing anything or even thinking about it, I think these best practice thought processes will give you some good practices. Yes, Miss Boyd, it is. And I can get with you shortly, okay? But let's see. What were we talking about today? Aaliyah, we were going to talk about creatively, how we bought some apartments. So I'll give you the latest one that we just did we're about to start on. It's in Kaukauna, Wisconsin. So that's a long way away from home. This little bitty city knew somebody that knew me. So I said a lot of what we talk about and a lot of what we do is not about what we do, it's about the thought process. I hear Grant Cardone say all the time, who you know is important, but who knows you is more important. And so I just said that I know a guy who knew me. They called us and said, hey man, this guy couldn't close on this apartment complex. Do you think you can? I said, oh yeah, I think we can. I didn't know if we could, but yeah, I think we can. The city wound up, because they wanted this housing so bad. So this is a thought process. The city wanted the housing. They had the land. They had previously given that land to a developer for $1, right on the river, 3.5 acres, really nice piece of land for $1. Well, this guy went out and built, he had some blueprints done for an apartment complex, blueprints done for a hotel. He had spent about $400,000, so he believed he had created some value, and he wanted $1 million for it since he couldn't build it. He got it for $1. So the city wanted it. They were able to advance us $1,060,000 to buy that land from that guy. They wanted it. They were able to do a 10-year zero interest loan for 10 years with a balloon payment in 10 years for that $1 million to buy that land. They wanted it. They were able to do that. The next part of that, okay, well, good. We can get the land, but there's another piece of land we need if we want to do more than just this apartment. So now we got to buy the hotel piece of land from this guy. Well, he wants $250 for that. City wanted it really bad. So what we were able to do was put together, the city has TIF districts, tax incremental financing. Every city across America has it. If they don't have it, they have the ability to create a TIF district if it's within the city limits, and they can set up those districts and say, oh, based on the tax base that you're bringing, we have the ability to advance this many dollars in TIF dollars to help with the development of what you're going to build. So for the first piece of land, we were able to negotiate about $2.5 million worth of TIF for this piece of dirt that we just paid $1 million for. And then for the second piece of land that we need, he wants $250,000 for it. We were able to negotiate another $2.5 million worth of TIF for it. But we don't own it yet. So we got the first TIF of $750 when we were able to get, we had to hit some benchmarks to get the money. They don't just say, here's the money. They did say, here's the money with $1 million to buy it. But to get the TIF dollars, it's based on progress. So we had to have a building permit applied for with a site plan approved by the city. Bam, site plans approved, building permit applied for. Here's $750,000. We took that $750 and paid $250 for the other piece of land that we needed. And then said, oh, there's another piece of land. Oh, the bank owns that. Bank wants $150. So we able to buy that piece too. So now we've got all 4 tracts of land for $1,400,000. We got $1,060,000 as a zero interest 10-year loan from the city, and we were able to negotiate $5 million in TIF, of which the first $750,000 bought the other 2 pieces of land. So now we've got a 3.5 acre tract of land that's probably valued at about $4 million today for no money. We actually got extra money in the bank because we put $750 in the bank. We only paid, $400,000 for those other 2 pieces of land, and now we're using that other money to get the architects, engineers, and everybody on track really quickly, so that we can get a foundation permit and inspection before it freezes up there in October, so we get another $1 million at that point. Wow. So now we've got all the foundations, plumbing, everything in the ground, inspected. We had some cleanup done, and we were able to do all of that, all out of the advanced dollars from the TIF.
Wow.
So now our construction loan kicks in with 100% financing, 100% financing.
Wow.
Loan is, I think the construction on that deal is $35 million. We've got 2 years worth of interest built in, all the fees built in, all that stuff. It's about a $46 million capital stack, $49 million capital stack. We got no money in it. And that's how you can do it creatively. And the asset will be worth about $65 million when it's built. It's 184 units. And let me show you what it looks like. Pretty amazing.
Alvin, quick question. When you're saying 100% construction, I imagine they probably have like a 75 or 60, 65 LTV or LTC in that case. But so the other part, basically the collateral was provided by the city, correct?
Well, this particular deal, Anderson,
Mm-hmm.
because I operate a 501c3 nonprofit housing organization. We're able to access tax exempt bond financing up to 100% LTC, plus the cost of issuance.
Okay. And so the only
For us, that's actually cheaper, right? So typically,
Right.
you get construction debt right now is about 7-8%. And then you got to go raise capital, and that capital equity you're going to raise, you're going to pay 12, 15, 20% for that. And then after you get all of that raised, you got a blended rate of 11% during construction, and then you can go to perm. Now, the difference is we've got a fixed rate from the beginning. I think today's rate is about 5.25%, and it's fixed for 40 years. We're paying interest on the full construction on the front end, but that's okay. And the bonds are locked in for 5 years.
Definitely. And so is the city requiring you guys to build something that's affordable only, or you can build like just about any product?
Very good question. The bonds require us to be to provide workforce housing. So what's the caveat with that workforce housing? We go to markets where the area median income is $80,000, $90,000. Because the affordable limit is 80%. So 80% of 90,000 is 72 grand. $72,000 a month can pay a healthy rent.
Definitely.
That model is really hard and doesn't work in an area where you've got area median incomes of 35,000.
Gotcha. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
But most of the workforce communities that we're looking at, smaller cities, like right outside of Dallas, area median income in Anna, Texas is 110,000 in some pockets. The people making the decisions to approve the housing they qualify to live there, because 80% of 100,000 is 80 grand.
Right.
So if you can qualify at $80,000 to live there, what is your rent going to be? It could be $2,500 a month, but the sustainable, efficient housing that we're building, our average rents are about $1,700.
Wow.
Right, less than $2 a foot. So again, it's about the thought process, and the thought process is, how do we close the gap? So Anderson brought up a really good question. Most of the time, you're going to get a construction loan or a loan to rehab a property somewhere between 65 and 75% LTC. What is that? Loan to cost. Or it could be loan to value. So typically, what I'm seeing right now, Anderson, I got a quote on our deal at 85% LTC, 75% LTV. Okay. So what that means is my capital stack is $100. They're going to finance me up to $85 of that $100, as long as that $85 does not exceed 75% of the value of the property, which means it has to be worth $120, $130 to make that work. So how do you close that gap in that 25%? That's where the TIF dollars come in. So what we were looking at first, before I went the bond route, we were looking at one building, 100 units. I think the cost was 18 million. So just use 20 million for a round number. We were going to need to raise $5 million in equity. We were able to get $1 million from the city. We got $2.5 million worth of TIF dollars, which is basically free money for us because we're going to pay property taxes anyway. And we only had to raise $1.5 million to do a $20 million deal based on closing that gap. And that's how it works. Ooh. And those are the creative thoughts that, man, we talk about in the boot camp that we're going to be talking about at the summit. That's what this little short video or live was about today. Anderson, I appreciate you jumping on here asking questions, because it's easy for me to feed off of questions and to just talk for 30 minutes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah. The more and more I dig into it, it's turning like we know some of the same people, so I won't, bore down like personal stuff. But from a guy in my position who operate on the raw land side of things,
Mhm.
and you as a developer, what is the most helpful when providing the information for raw land to guys like yourself and anybody else who wants to develop?
Good question. And it may matter if you control the land or if you're just the guy in the middle, right? So you could come to me and say, hey, Alvin, man, I own 20 acres of land in Timbuktu. What I would ask you to do for me is to get a little more information than just the land, because we can drive around and look at land all day.
Right.
What I need is I need to know the land size.
Mhm.
I need to know, is it in an area of growth or not? Meaning is like
The
from
outside of the
Princeton,
city.
McKinney, everything's growing this way. We know that this is a direct path of growth, or is it in an area that's dying? And I want your opinion because I can figure that out pretty quickly.
Mhm.
I need to know the area median income of the area. That's a real easy Google calculation. And I need to know what the land is zoned for currently. So it may be ag right now. A lot of raw land is zoned agriculture because the owners had an opportunity to keep the taxes very low. So from an ag to a multifamily or MF2, 3, depending on where you are, just depending on where the land is, sometimes those zoning restrictions are very easy to deal with and to get changed in our favor. And in some, because again, that's where people really want it, right? The cities want it. They'll do what they have to do to get the zoning in place to make your deal happen. But I just really need the land size. If you've got a survey, that really helps. The area median income of the area, is it an area of growth or not? And that's pretty much it. I can do some data points to figure out the rest. And then I'd like to know, what's your participation, Ryan? Are you the owner? Or if you're not the owner, you know the owner. Or if you know the owner, you know 5 guys that we got to go to get to the owner. I don't want to talk about that one.
Mhm.
Understand. I typically work directly with the owners. I've been
Okay.
doing this like on my own, like true a one-man band for like the last 3 or 4 years, and I'm in full-blown expansion mode now. And it's been really, really fun. And so now I'm getting ready to kind of go public, if you will, and expand the circle, if you will.
Mhm.
And it's just really interesting. And yeah, I agree with you 100%. And most of the time, anybody who works with me will get a full zoning, exact land size, price point, what's the situation in regards to, what the city wants, growth,
Yeah.
population, school. I give the whole 9 yards. So it's cool to
Right.
hear you say that.
And with that kind of information, it's really easy for you and me to sit down and go, okay, Ryan, what do you want? Hey, man, a dude wants $1 million for this. Give me a fee. Give me a broker fee. Maybe the owner wants to participate. He doesn't want to sell it. He wants to see, can he put it into a deal? Yeah, we do partnerships like that all day. What is the land worth? Well, it's worth $1 million today. Okay, I'll give you $2 million if you contribute that land into the partnership, and you can get paid out as distributions.
Yeah.
I get $2 million for it. Yeah. So they're all kind of creative ways. More about the mindset. You might think you overpaid because you're gonna give him $2 million, but it'll take him 30 years to get the 2 million. Not really, but
Yeah.
versus writing $1 million check today. And that may be the only impediment to you getting the deal done, is to say, hey man, I'll give you a little bit more, but I'll pay you later. No big
Yeah.
deal.
Love it. Love it.
Alvin, and do you prefer to buy this land already like entitled, or you're actually just doing like you're just looking at the land from the beginning and you're working on the entitlement phase or the entitlement process?
We're doing a little bit of both, Anderson. I needed to have 1,000 units to start this year, so I wasn't taking on any projects for this year.
Okay.
But now that we've pretty much got everything started this year, none of the stuff up north that I haven't already started planning, we can pour. So now
Okay.
we're looking at taking on stuff where the entitlements need to be done.
Okay.
But that also depends on the deal, right? Because I don't have the bandwidth today to write $1 million check for some land and
Right.
then go get it entitled.
Yeah, and then yeah.
But if I've got an owner, so here's another creative way. Guy wants $1 million, $2 million, or $10 million for his land. It doesn't matter how much it is. One of the negotiating deals we did just last week on 56 acres here in Cedar Hill was we wrote an offer for $1,000 earnest money. Guy wanted for those 56 acres, he wanted $6 million. Beautiful piece of dirt. We don't know what we can put there yet, but he drove us back there, man, and I don't even know if half of that land is buildable or not. But we wrote an offer for, here's your full offer, $6 million. That's what you want? Not a problem. I'm not gonna haggle with you today. But what I need is I'm gonna write you $1,000 earnest money. That's it.
Mhm.
And it's not hard. It goes to the title company, and I have a 60-day due diligence period.
Mhm.
With that $1,000 earnest money, I'll write you a promissory note for $600,000 or $599,000. So now he feels as though he's got his $600,000 there, promissory note plus $1,000. That's typically 1% of the deal. But we put up 600 just to make him feel good. Because I'm not going to back out with that much earnest money, but technically it's not earnest money yet.
Mhm.
But in exchange for not having to really put up any money, now we have to do a survey. We got to do a topo survey. And that topo survey on that deal is going to be about $35,000.
Yeah.
So we're committed to spend $35,000. And I told him, man, if we don't close on this deal because we've tied you up and taken you off of the market, you can have a survey. How about that? Oh, that's a good trade-off, right?
Win-win.
Right. Win-win. He doesn't get any money on the front end. It doesn't cost us anything. We know we're going to spend either earnest money and a survey or just a survey because we really like it. And so we kind of committed to that. And so that's a win-win deal. We have 60 days due diligence to see what the survey will look like and how much buildable land we can get from there. I'm thinking we can get 22 to 30 houses, nice size 1.5 acre lots. It'll be $500,000 and up, probably have some $1.5 million, $2 million houses there. So that's kind of the thought process.
Yeah. Within that feasibility, Alvin, do you do geotechnical studies? Do you do any soil studies or soil pits, or you just prefer to do just topographicals, boundaries, and basically go based on that?
I would definitely do soils. On that piece of dirt, you can tell it's not dirty, but once we get the topo, then we'll need to see how buildable it is. Cedar Hill is really high, so I know it's built up on a lot of rock, so I'm not really concerned about marshlands or anything like that. But there is a bird sanctuary on part of this 56 acres that's totally unencroachable. So the topo will give us everything we need, and then the boundary surveys will show the cutouts and easements for what we can't build on.
Sure.
And then if we want to go further from there, I think we'll have enough data. We will have to get a phase 1 just because we have to, but then we would go into that phase and then see if we're going to get serious about making an offer or not. I mean, we're serious about it, but at that point we got to go into raising money mode.
Yeah.
Because now you got a $6 million purchase. The biggest loan we're going to get is going to be 50%, maybe 60% of that. And then you got to service it at 10, 12%. So how do we put together a partnership with a couple of guys or women that want to invest in this $6 million purchase, where we may wind up with 24 lots worth $500,000 or $600,000 in a recessionary period? Thought process, right? So there are a lot of investors out there that believe the DFW market area is still going to be strong. I believe that when it starts to bubble, this is my thought process, there's always a guy in the middle that gets squeezed. The everyday guy, the guys that always have money, they're going to always have money. And then the guys that are always fighting to get money, going to always be fighting to get money. So in a recession like this, some of the smart money is probably not doing some of this, but you still have people moving to Texas that are cashing out on big dollar homes. So a $2 million home in DFW market is really cheap to everybody else. So who's willing to invest in a deal like that where you'd have those kind of lots to build out that kind of neighborhood? That's one deal. And we're talking to a couple of athletes who are looking long term, because this isn't put your money in today get your money out tomorrow.
Right.
And so that's just another creative way, using a promissory note to tie up land for earnest money. So just more thought processes. Anybody else got a question? Ryan, good, man. I look forward to I think here, just take my email down real quick. All y'all can have it, I don't care. I answer them all too. Alvin at ahjdevco.com. Alvin at Alvin Hope Johnson Development Company, ahjdevco.com. Shoot me an email and I'll get you my and then we can.
Will you put that email in the chat?
Yeah, I'll do that. Any more questions?
Alvin, this is
No.
not so much of a question, just a quick point. So, one property that we did about 2 years ago, what we did is that we put a 180 days feasibility. So
Mhm.
technically, we had no close on the property, and we're still within the feasibility. And in the contract that we did to the seller, we put in there that they were going to work with us on any zoning change and any specific stuff that we needed to do with the city as far as like getting preliminary plat approvals and all this stuff. So something that we did is that we were controlling the property before we even closed on it or owned it, and we were already increasing the value. So by the time we closed, which was 45 days after the feasibility, we had already an improved property on paper, and it was so much more valuable. So it was easier for us to get financing. And then at that point, we actually ended up selling it to a builder. So it was kind of like an entitlement phase. So I'm just saying that out there. So if there's people that want to actually do something like this, they can actually control the property. The 60 days is great for someone like yourself that already knows the process. But for someone maybe doing it the first time might be good. Yeah, might be good to have 180
12
days.
months. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Now, whether the seller is going to accept that or not, that's going to be something that's depending on the seller's situation. But in that case, we have the seller, basically giving us all the term, and we're giving him the money that he was wanting, but he was working with us on time frame. So in that time frame, we utilize that to basically improve the property on paper. So
yeah,
people can do that as well.
I like the way you said that, Anderson. We've done that several times, actually, on that deal that I just mentioned. On the front end of that, we were going to do this as a for-profit deal. So we were going to do this with our development company, and we were going to raise equity. Well, when we realized that, hey, we've got the TIF dollars are good. Everything's good, but we still need to go raise $1.5 million cash. Let's weigh it against the other option that we have, and that was doing it, which was a workforce housing non-market rate, market rate / that way. And it produced more proceeds this way because we were able to get the second piece of land and double the size of the asset. With the bonds, the cost of issuance is the cost of issuance. So it doesn't pay to do a small deal with those. But when you get up over 25, 30 million, then the costs kind of weigh out and make sense. So when we were able to add that second asset, it made it feasible to do that. So here I own the first piece of land in the for-profit, and now I have to transfer it to the nonprofit. We created $5 million worth of value over here.
Mm-hmm.
We can't give it away to anybody. So we sold it for $1 million, doing exactly what you did, just adding value on paper and then selling the paper that is a lot more valuable before you even close on it to another entity.
Yeah, so you mentioned earlier that you're looking to buy more entitled lots right now, so they're ready to be built. Are you only doing that in Texas or also in Florida? Because if you're doing it in Florida, I might want to talk to you because we have a deal right now.
Let's talk Florida, because if we have some good area median incomes that way, then I definitely would love to do it, because we can do the bond financing. If it's a situation where we have to do it market rate and we have to go out and raise capital, I'm gonna be a little bit more hesitant on those, unless you say, hey man, I can go get all the money. Then I'm gonna say, hey, let's go.
Gotcha. Perfect. We'll talk.
Okay, good deal. Any more questions? Good.
It's nice to meet everybody. Alvin, I'm sure we'll talk based on the conversation I had with another gentleman last night. And I would say good luck to everybody and what we're doing in real estate at multiple levels. And I'm sure we'll all encounter each other down the road for sure.
Sure we will. Appreciate you, Ryan Anderson. Warren, I look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. Hey, y'all, we got, don't forget the Multifamily Development Summit in September. The deal is in the chat. And then we've got that 3-day boot camp coming up in 2 weeks. And I think the link to that is on our site. Yeah, I'll put that in the chat too.
Alvin, I'm sorry, this Aisha, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
For the times, it is certain times for the 3-day boot camp. Sorry, I got kids. I'm trying to make
Oh,
sure.
that's okay. We are running 9 to 6 on Friday, 9 to 6 on Saturday. And I'll tell you, last time we did Sunday as well, but I believe that we'll probably be able to wrap up the 3 days in 2. But I'm committed to 3 days with you guys. It just
Okay,
depends
fine. That's
on
fine.
it depends on the group.
Okay, and I just go to the site and they'll send me something in the email, or
Yes, ma'am. I actually just put it in there in the chat, multifamilymonopoly.com. If you
Okay.
go there, I believe it brings you right up to the to the information about the 3-day boot camp.
Okay. Okay, well, sounds good. Look forward to meeting you.
Yes, ma'am. Me too. Thank
Thank
y'all.
you.
I'm gonna go jump on this other Zoom.
Bye-bye.
Look forward to
Okay.
seeing you.
Thank you, Alvin.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you.